been to the Golffice yet, I would highly recommend going and checking these guys out.
Very big variable in our business that we have zero control over, and that's interest rate.
What's one way that you've tried to, over the last 25 years, to differentiate yourself from the competition?
He looks every day to see what the earliest tee time is for the next morning.
How you got involved with that business and really how it's going so far. All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of The Serial Entrepreneur. Today's guest is James Davis, better known as JP Davis to me, but I'm excited about this conversation. I've known JP for 15 years from the club. Great golfer, met him many years ago, and actually had the pleasure of working with him and his mortgage company. Actually, first time I ever did a mortgage on the house that I'm living in right now was through JP, and then most recently, he started the Golffice here in Louisville. So excited to talk to him a little bit about that journey and get to know more about what he's been into. It's been a while. It's been a while since we've had an opportunity to catch up. So I guess before we get rolling, tell me what's as far as, obviously the Golffice has kind of been a focal point for you as of late, the new venture there, and I'd love to hear a little bit of the backstory on how you got involved with that business and really how it's going so far.
Well, I appreciate you. First of all, I appreciate you having me today. So it's very kind of you to invite me, and it is good to see you for sure. It is a new venture. And I'll give credit to my friend in Birmingham, Alabama, that's kind of started the concept. I guess it's his brainchild, for lack of a better word. But he started about 4 years ago. He's actually in the mortgage business as well. And I've probably known him for 15-ish years. And he told me that he was going to, have this concept of this golf simulator business, because he actually started with one simulator that he bought on Facebook Marketplace or something and had some extra room in his mortgage building, and decided that he would put a screen down there. And when they weren't using it, it was actually his son that said, "Hey, Dad, why don't we rent this thing and just see what happens, see if other people want to use it when we're not using it."
Yeah.
And that idea just kind of came from that. And he told us what he was doing. He said, "Hey, I'm just using this space for a golf simulator." We all play golf, and everybody that I run with in the mortgage business plays golf. So, he just kind of said, I'm probably gonna expand this because this is really going well. And they opened up another location in Birmingham, Alabama.
Okay.
And he now has 3 locations in Birmingham. He has getting ready to have 2 locations in Huntsville. He just opened up one last week in Huntsville.
Okay.
And he's opening up one in South Carolina. And he was very transparent. He's a very good guy. He's very kind to talk, and he would talk candidly about how well the business is doing. And you should think about it. And Julie and I, my wife of 32 years, were like, we like to golf. Our family likes to golf, and maybe it's something that we could look into as well. And that's what we did. And so it took about 8 or 9 months to even find a spot.
Yeah.
Here in Louisville, which I now call home and have since 1986, but it just took a little while to, find the right spot. We didn't necessarily need frontage like on Westport Road or Shelbyville Road or anything like that, but we just needed a good location.
Yeah.
And so we took our time, found we were very patient all along. He's telling me about his businesses, and he's growing and what's going on. So, we just decided, we finally found the space, which is at 10515 Fisher Park Drive, where we are now.
Yeah.
Yeah, correct. In Springhurst. And, it's been really good. We opened November 17th officially.
Okay.
Had a few soft openings before that, just kind of had some people over to check it out. But it's been going real well, and we're very pleased with the progress of the way the business is growing.
Yeah. Well, I can say, and we talked a little bit about this before we came on camera, but it was one of those things that, I just happened to be going to Dick's Sporting Goods one day and saw the name was cool, the Golffice. Mm-hmm. I'm like, oh, okay, I get it. It's I knew exactly what it was as soon as
that's important.
I knew exactly what it was as soon as I heard the name, and then the other thing that I really liked is you guys. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you have 24/7, 365.
Correct.
Right? 24/7, 365 means it's always available, right? And I was like, that's really wild. That's super cool. And so, so the first, we had all this crazy snow and I haven't been able to get out and run and play my speed golf like I normally do. So I was getting a little bit of an itch to get a few swings in, and I saw it and I was like, I'm going to go book this thing and, figure out what it was. I ended up doing the monthly membership.
Monthly membership, right.
Yeah. Which it was a great value. I think it was like $149.
Correct.
For 8 hours of,
Correct.
8 hours in the sim, which is, that's less than $20 an hour.
Yes.
Right?
Equivalent to like if you were just booking hourly, that's 3 hours. So you're much better off getting a membership.
Yeah, exactly. So I ended up, and that was kind of what I was like, okay, well, I'm going to go book this thing for an hour and a half or 2 hours, or I could just get a membership. So I just went ahead and got the membership. And JP, it was so easy, man. It was so easy. I literally had my membership, went to the website. All I had to do was enter my phone number. It pulled up my account with the verification code. All of my credits were on there from the membership and we immediately loaded. I booked my time, which was super straightforward, and got the verification code, went over, let myself in, with the code. I showed up and the monitor's like, welcome, Jason.
Correct.
Welcome. I'm like, okay, I'm in the right spot, right? Because I was like, there was 3, at the time there was 3 bays. Now you've got 4, but I walk in and it's like, enter your, the same code that you used to get in the doors, is what you put in the sim. And I was up and running. So it was so simple. And I really enjoyed the experience. So I kudos to you. I don't know who built the booking platform.
Yeah, not me, but Michael spent a long time. They spent a long time, spent many years perfecting it, but it really does run. It's a very efficient system.
Yeah, it's very efficient. It's always busy when I go over there too, which is good for business. So great experience. So if you've not been to the Golffice yet, I would highly recommend going and checking these guys out. It's a fantastic experience. So you guys been open 3 months now?
About 3 months, correct.
3 months now.
Mm-hmm.
Is it cash flowing for you at this point?
It is actually. We weren't really sure what to expect.
Yeah.
Michael, my buddy, had given us some kind of projections and some benchmarks and things like that you could kind of pay attention to and see where you are compared to where they were when they opened. And in the month of December, our location was doing more than their locations that had been around for 3.5 or 4 years. Part of that, though, is Louisville's weather was colder than it is in Birmingham.
Sure,
so their weather
sure.
down there finally turns very weather dependent. But, our weather got cold and we got snow a lot faster than they do down there. So that kind of helped push things along.
Yeah, your launch came at a really good time.
It actually did, yeah. And we like snow. I like cold weather now as much as I like to play golf, but I'm not opposed to the cold weather either. So, but yeah, it's been really good. I think we're all very pleased. And we do have a good location. I think that is important.
It's very convenient.
And walking around your studio here, you have a very nice place too. And you've been to our place. I think it's a little bit, the furniture's nice, the seating's comfortable, so it's not uncomfortable. You don't really want to not spend time there. Yeah. So, as far as that goes,
it's a very nice. It's like I said, similar aesthetics.
It is
to this.
It is.
It's very, just classic country club vibe in my opinion. It's like you walk in, it's like, okay, this is cool. It's comfy, and again, it's got, there's plenty of space, and you've got, seating and each bay has TVs. So if you want to watch the ball game or something while you're playing with the buddies, you can turn on the game. So it had everything.
Yeah. There's a big TV in the center of the room, and then there's a TV in every bay. Yeah. So and the way the walls are set up, you really can watch whatever you want to watch. And if you're next door in the sim next door, it's not like you're being interrupted by whatever they're watching, and usually it's golf or it's basketball or it's something like that. Some sporting event. It was the playoffs during the NFL. So, it doesn't impede or present any kind of a noise problem for anybody next door. And it's fairly quiet in there. Most of the time golf courses are quiet, and we are indoors, but it's almost like you're out on a course. It's just people are very respectful. That's what we're very pleased with too. They push the chairs back up and kind of keep things straight, throw their garbage away. Now we come do that because the other thing about this concept, it's 24/7, 365, but it's completely unmanned.
Yeah.
So it's all automated. The app on the phone to get in, but that's all that we do is really just go over there and just keep the place clean.
Yeah.
And I tell my son-in-law and daughter, hey, let's just make it look like nobody's been there. So keep everything spotless as you can.
Yeah.
And we provide water for people, complimentary water for people if they want to come back there and just have some water. We've got a big refrigerator. There's ice in there, and people can just help themselves to that. I feel like that's kind of a nice thing. And we did just open Bay 4, which is the private sim.
I saw that.
So we haven't really advertised that much other than people are like, hey, why is Bay 4 always red? And that's because it wasn't open until now, but it's open now. It is a private bay, so it's got premium pricing on it. So when the other bays are $49, that one's $69.
Okay.
There is currently, if you are a member, you can still book it for an hour per hour. Okay. That is probably going to change a little bit, but right now, if you're a member, it's definitely, if you want to be in the private bay, it's definitely worth booking the private bay.
Yeah.
But another thing I did want to point out was we have miniature golf, putt-putt, par threes, chip and putts. So like families, if families want to come there, there's about 2,187 courses on there right now. 100 at least, or 120 of those are miniature golf and putt-putt and par threes. Yeah. So, we need to probably do a little bit better job of telling more people about those things. So when they bring their wives or their kids, they can just bring their putter and you guys can fire up a miniature golf or putt-putt course to play that. And everybody can do that. Anybody can do that. And I've played most of them because they're fun. Yeah. And just also to try them out. But there's like Star Wars themed, I think there's a Harry Potter themed course, Jurassic Park themed. So it's, it's kind of fun. Yeah. It's kind of neat. So there's a lot of fun things on there to do just besides playing the courses. Yeah. But there's a good course variety too, as you know. Yeah. No, I actually did not know that it had kind of, more kid-friendly options. So that's cool. That's good to know. I mean, like I said, especially this time of year, I mean, families are looking for fun outings, and, it certainly would be an option, where it's indoors and it's a lot cozier than going to a Topgolf, which is outdoors under heaters and everything else. So yeah, it's always about 70 degrees in there. That's what we say. And it's like San Diego inside all the time. Yeah, so there's no humidity. It's nice. Well, one of the things you mentioned earlier, which I'm kind of curious to get your feedback, because, when we bought this building, and, I had this idea of like, hey, I want to have this like co-working space, place where I can run my businesses. But, again, another space that I don't need all this space, but another space where other people could utilize it to run their business and also network with other like-minded business professionals. That was really the whole idea of the space. But the one thing that I failed to factor into the whole equation was I didn't realize I was kind of buying myself another job, because, when you have people in and out, all of our spaces are shared spaces. And so, like you said, it drives me nuts when I come in here and I see some of the spaces aren't as clean as I would want them to be. Right. And so I find myself vacuuming and wiping down tables and desks and taking out trash. It's like, man, I don't even do this much at my house. so I mean, how often are you guys? So is your daughter and my daughter and son-in-law? My daughter and son-in-law. They basically run and manage it, but they're there at least 3 times a day.
Oh wow, okay.
So Harrison, my son-in-law, he looks every day to see what the earliest tee time is for the next morning, and he goes before that person. We go at least once or twice during the day, and then we go at night, mostly after everybody's finished. Because most people, it's 10 p.m. or so. Yeah. Sometimes it's later, but that may only be 1 bay or maybe 2 bays or something. But for the most part, the majority of people have already played and they're gone. So it's easy to go in there and clean up and empty the garbage. But Harrison does a good job of going over there first thing in the morning, throughout the day. You know, my mortgage company is not that far away. I may be 10 minutes away from there. So sometimes I'll just get in my car and drive over and just check it out, especially when it's been busy for like all 4 bays are booked for hours at a time. I just go over there to make sure that the cans aren't overflowing, but we have plenty of garbage cans around. But you're right. I mean, it doesn't take very long because the space is not that big. I think we have 2,400 plus or minus a little bit square feet. And it's fairly easy to clean, which was another part of the concept. You know, let's try to make it as simple as possible and make it fairly easy to clean. The dusting is probably a little bit more difficult. But yeah, we vacuum the Sims and, you know, clean the floors, clean the bathrooms like Bucky's style. I mean, we want to have like the cleanest bathrooms around. Yeah. So, well, you know, it's little things like that you want to pay attention to. Yeah, and we try to.
Well, every time I've been over there, and I've been over there 4 or 5 times now. And every time I've been there, it's looked like I was the first one there. So you guys are doing an awesome job.
Thank you.
So so tell me, all right, we talked a little bit about the Golffice, but long time business. How long have you been in the mortgage business?
25 years.
25 years. Still rocking the mortgage business.
We are.
So tell me, let's back up 25 years. Help me. I don't know how old you are, but you're a little bit older than me.
I am upper 50s.
Upper 50s. Okay. So how did you get into the mortgage business? What led to starting, to getting in the mortgage business? And then I'm assuming you got into the mortgage business and then eventually started and did your own thing.
Correct.
Okay. So tell me a little bit about that.
So Julie and I, my beautiful wife, we've been married for 32 years now. And when Julie and I, after we got married, we were going to buy a house. We were living in an apartment, and I was like, and I got to get out of this apartment. We got to find a house. And at the time, you remember the newspaper was very prevalent. Everybody read the newspaper, and on Sundays they would publish interest rates in the newspaper in the back of the business section. And we just kind of came across this company called Aaron Mortgage Company, and they always had like the best rates in there. You have to look at things other than interest rates, like closing costs, for example. Those are the 2 things you need to know. But Aaron Mortgage's name was always there. So I told Julie, I said, I don't know much about mortgage companies, but I'm going to call them. And I called him, and the guy's name was Dan Golden, and he owned the business, and he actually answered the phone, and that was a little bit of a surprise. Sometimes you're like, oh, this may be a big company. The owner's not going to answer the phone. But he did anyway. To make a long story short, Julie and I ended up using them to buy our first house in St. Matthews. And when we went to close in his office, he had these golf pictures up. And, I'm looking at these golf pictures thinking, oh, we might have something in common. And, we just started talking about golf. And then we started, after we closed on the house, we kept in touch and we played golf together, played in golf scrambles together. And I got to be good friends with them. At the time, I was working at the Louisville Water Company. Okay. So I have a biology degree. So, now I'm in the mortgage business, and now the golf business. But, so we just kept in touch, and his company was growing, and he was looking for somebody to kind of help him run his mortgage business. And I guess in 2001, I kind of took a leap of faith and left the water company after 13 years, 12 and after 13 years, and went to work for him in the mortgage business. And then he retired, and I started my own in 2011. Okay. So now it's JP Mortgage Company. But yeah, that's how I got started. It's kind of a interesting, to me, it's interesting how it all came about. And, people ask these days, you have a biology degree and more, but a lot of people don't use what their degrees to what they're doing today. No. So
yeah,
but yeah.
So that was the, I view the mortgage space as a crowded space. I don't know if you would agree with that or not, but what's one way that you've tried to, over the last 25 years, to differentiate yourself from the competition?
Yeah, I'm old school, so it's networking.
Okay.
You know how it is, man. Playing golf with people, and I'm not an in-your-face guy. Hey, man, I'm in the mortgage business. If you need a loan, let me know. It's just people eventually find out what you do, and you try to treat everybody just the same and be friendly with everybody and do everything you can to make them feel comfortable. Make the process transparent, which is what we try to do. I guess it's worked because I've been doing it for 25 years now, and I have 2 offices. So I have an office here. I have an office in Bardstown. I have 7 people that work for me. And most of those people have been with me for way over a decade, 10, 15 years.
Okay.
So that's a good thing too. People stick around. It's like a family, just run it like a family. But honestly, I think it's just good old fashioned networking. I'm not much into social media and stuff like that. I mean, I'm too old for that stuff. I don't do Facebook. I don't do Instagram. I don't do any of those stuff. Now, my son-in-law and daughter do for the Golffice.
Okay.
But I can't even tell you the last time I may be partially embarrassed. I posted on the Facebook thing for my mortgage company. I just don't let that bog me down.
Are any of your team members utilizing social
They
media?
do down in Bardstown. My Bardstown office does. Yeah, I know it's a great way to do business, and it's been a big driver of business for the Golffice on that my son-in-law and daughter are doing.
Yeah.
But that's also, it's the same thing I'm doing with the Golffice that I did with the mortgage company. It's just let people, hey, by the way, we opened an indoor golf simulator business, Oh, I didn't know, just reaching out to people, texting our golf threads, that.
Yeah.
And then it's just word of mouth, man. It's word of mouth. That's not the only thing we're doing. I'm just doing that part of it because that's what I feel like I'm pretty good at.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and again, I mean, it's, it comes down to, if you guys weren't doing it the right way, you wouldn't get the referrals and you wouldn't get the repeat business. And it's okay to be old school if it's working for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, like I said, I'm kind of a tweener. Like, I very much, focus on relationships and connecting, with people, one-on-one, versus these mass campaigns on social. But I'll admit that I hire people to help me with that. But again, it is interesting how things have changed. What would you say in your 25 years in the mortgage business? And one of the things we like to do, in the podcast, I know you've had success. I mean, like I said, you wouldn't be where you're at for 25 years if you hadn't achieved success in your field. But during the course of that 25 years, I'm sure there's been some really hard lessons and some things that have come up over the years that were unexpected and unplanned. And so I'm curious if there's, maybe one of those things that stands out to you that was just a real challenge for you, what that was, and then what did you do to overcome that, or how did you pivot, or what did you learn from that?
Well, there's one variable, very big variable in our business that we have zero control over, and that's interest rates.
Yeah.
And you never know where they're going. I can't predict them. Nobody can. It's like guessing what the stock market's going to do on a daily basis because people ask, JP, what do you think about rates? I really don't know.
Okay.
At the risk of sounding stupid, you just do not know. Yeah. We have no idea.
It's fair.
It just is what it is. And when rate sheets come out, say at 10:30 or 11 in the morning, and they are what they are. I tell people I don't, you can watch some certain numbers like treasuries and stuff like it, but it's mortgage-backed securities. And yes, we do internally have a sites where you can follow that. But even at that, it can turn in a second, either up or down. And so you just don't know. I mean, here's where rates are right now. There is no guarantee they'll be that way in 30 minutes or an hour. They don't normally fluctuate like that. But over the last 3 years, it's certainly been a challenge because rates went back up and hit 8%, and when the majority of your customers now are at 2% and 3%, some in the 1.875%. Those aren't customers anymore. Well, we still stay in touch with them, but for the most part, they're not going to refinance that. They don't need to, and we tell them not to, dude, unless you absolutely have to. Some life change where you get you're gonna get divorced or something like that. Which you don't wish on anybody. But if there's some sort of event like that where you have to, well, then you have to. But if you're not, try to work around things like that. So, in all those years, really the last 3.5 years have been the biggest challenge just because of where rates were. And they're very stubborn. They're finally, closer to 6% now and maybe a little bit in the upper fives. But it doesn't really help a whole lot of people yet because if you want to, if they had for instance, they had a lot of credit card debt or something. They need to do a cash out refi. A lot of people have a lot of equity in their homes.
Right.
But the problem is they're going to be at 6.5 or upper sixes to do a cash out refi because it costs more on the rate to do that.
Yeah.
And who wants to go from 3% to 6.5?
Right.
Although, we can walk people through the numbers, and I won't get into all that stuff because it's credit cards. I know what 25-30%. Good grief, and if you have a lot of it, it may be something to consider. But certainly don't push people into anything like that. I mean, they call us and we go over all those things. I mean, we're professionals and we can walk people through it, and just we try to give them sage advice, I guess, and But it's the same thing I tell anybody else, even if it was a van. I don't know that I'd really do this. Can you try to focus on paying that down or do whatever? Maybe that'll get some relief. But if they don't, it's there to do. I just say, if it's something you need to do, you got to do it. I mean, and it's happened plenty of times. People at some point in time, most people will have to give up those rates. Not most people, but a lot of those people have to give up those rates.
Yeah.
They may find another home. They want a bigger home. They want a smaller home, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unfortunately, it doesn't transfer unless it's like a FHA loan or something like that, or a VA loan. I think those you can transfer, but
yeah. So rates, so fluctuating rates have been and I guess now that you say that, for your business, I mean, I guess a big part of the success with your business is the repeat business, right?
Building up your client base. That's exactly right.
Building up your client base, because the repeat business, because people traditionally move every 5 or 6 years.
That's right, 4 or 5 years. Yeah, that's right.
And then also you have, your people that you've worked with the last couple of years when rates have been at 8%. You got to keep an eye on the rates as they drop and reach out to all of them, as rates drop. And at what point, this is a good question, and something that viewers could learn from. But as a mortgage specialist, like, what would you say is the ideal time for someone to look at a refi if rates are starting to come down again?
It's very dependent on how much they owe.
Okay.
A higher loan amount, it doesn't take much of an interest rate drop to save them $100 or $200 a month. If you have a $500 or $600 or $700 or $800,000 loan, then 0.5% can make $200 or $300 a month difference.
Okay.
But if you owe $100 or $200,000, then you do need a more of a percentage drop, closer to a percent. I don't like to generalize that very much because it is very dependent on how much they owe. I just spoke with someone today that has a $1 million loan, but 0.5% right now makes $340 a month difference, just 0.5% drop for them. But you won't get that if you only owe $200,000 because your loan amount's already smaller and your principal and interest is already smaller. So it's going to take a little bit more of an interest rate drop, to make it beneficial, because you do weigh out what does it cost. We can do no closing cost loans, but you want to go over all those options with people. Hey, here's what this means, and here's your recapture time. In other words, does it take 2 years to get that money back, or 3 years to get that money back, or 3 months to get that money back? Or maybe it's a no closing cost loan, which is a little bit higher rate. I mean, transparency. It's going to cost you a little bit higher in the rate to get no closing costs, but sometimes it makes sense to do that. But the fact that rates have been 6, 7, 8% over the last 3 years, in the 25 years I've been in business, it's never taken that long for rates to come back down to, say 4% or something like that. In the previous 20 years or 21 years, we've been between 3 and 5 the majority of the time, probably. We hit the 6, we hit 7 a little bit, but then they'd move back, and then you always had opportunities for refis, and people could take advantage of that.
Yeah.
But this has been a very stubborn period in time. And you were talking about referrals and building businesses, and I tell everybody that works for me, it's kind of like a tree. You want to have as many branches on your tree as possible, because those branches turn into more branches. And I just tell everybody, I feel like I'm a stump, but I just tell everybody, hey, a good idea is just try to get as many customers as you can. Stay in front of them, treat them right, ask them to, hey, if you know anybody that needs a house, keep me in mind, and answer the phones, and just be available. We're available all the time. We're available. Usually if you call me, I'm probably going to answer the phone. I'm going to answer the phone unless I'm doing something else like a podcast with somebody.
Yeah.
I might be a little busy, but I'll call you back shortly after. That's for sure.
Yeah. Well, it's a good point. Every time I've called you, you've picked up the phone.
I try.
So that speaks
Thank
a
you.
lot too. I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
I want to go back. You'd mentioned earlier. You made a comment about your team, and you've grown to you said 6 or
7 people,
six or 7 people, and most of those have been with you a decade or more. So obviously you're doing something right from a culture perspective. So I'd love to get your feedback. That's one of the things that I'm really looking at in my businesses. One of them in particular is I recently went through this book, Who Not How, and it talks about how we're all equipped and we've all got unique abilities, but we're not supposed to be the guy that does everything for everyone, right? We need to tap into that unique ability, and so one of the things I've been working on is building my team of who's, like my team of who's that can help me take my business to the next level. And it sounds like, and one of the things that I've really been focused on has been like just the culture, the culture. What kind of environment are you creating for your team members? So I'd love to get your input as someone that's had a team for 10 plus years. What would you say has been most valuable as a leader for your team to create that healthy culture that keeps these people around for 10 plus years?
I think one word: family. I just have always stressed that we're like a big family. It's like an extended family. And to your point, you do need to understand the people, their personalities, what their interests are outside of the mortgage business. Do they like hunting? Do they like fishing? Do they like sports? Do they like whatever, just family? That it is important to understand that about everybody. And I honestly speak to everyone every week. I'll pick up the phone and call them, say, hey, how you doing? And we just talk, and it may be a 30-minute conversation. It's not any 2 or 3 minute conversation. It's always, maybe 5 or 10 minutes, but it's also just, making sure that you spend time with everybody often.
Yeah.
So that nobody feels like they're left out. If you get too big too, which I've never been too big, I didn't want to get too big, where that was a task that I couldn't do, because you would have time, but it would, there's business and you got to run the business too. So that there are things that pull you away from what you want to do and those core values that you have. But, everybody knows, and honestly, we have company Christmas parties. We do those little things that I think people appreciate.
Yeah.
And, I always try to reach out to everybody, like I said, as often as I can. It may be more than once a week sometimes. Hey, how you doing? You need any help? How's everything going? How's the wife? How's the kids? How's whatever?
Yeah.
How's the fishing?
Yeah. So it sounds like like I said, number one, you're treating them like family.
Mm-hmm.
You do have a genuine interest in how they're doing, which is important, and I'm sure is greatly appreciated by them, which then in turn, that's loyal. They're going to be loyal.
They are loyal, and that's important. But they also know that I always have their back. So if we need something, you need to. If they say, hey, Jason, we could really use another space or more space. You try to do whatever you can for them. Not necessarily, I don't know if that's a great example or not, but if they need something, I try to make it happen.
Yeah.
So you need to have things available to them to help them be successful, and that's what you try to do. But the thing is, they know that they can always call me, and I'm probably going to answer the phone. And
Right.
I think goes back to that old school thing where I'm
available.
talking about. That's right, networking and just being available to
Yeah.
people. I don't think you can substitute, being available and having some sort of personal touch to something. I just don't think you can be successful.
You
if
mentioned
don't have
something
that.
earlier too that's extremely important, which is timeliness, right?
Mm-hmm.
If someone's looking for a mortgage broker, they might call 3 people, and if you don't answer your phone and they call the next guy and he answers his phone, you probably just lost that customer.
You're right. And there's been times of getting it from dinner or at night or whatever. And I'm a night owl. So, if it's 10 or 11 o'clock, it's not going to bother me if you call me. And I tell people that it doesn't bother me. If it's weekends, it's fine. It doesn't matter. But you are right about that. And I will say the one thing about mortgage brokers in general is that it's not an 8 to 5 job. We don't stop at 5 o'clock. Like, you might run into at other places, they close at 5. So you're not going to usually get a hold of somebody. I think that's what differentiates brokers from everybody else, is that we're available pretty much all the time. And we let people know we are, and I back it up by being available. So,
Yeah.
it's not that I'm just going to say it. You're going to find out if you call that
Yeah. And so your wife, Julie, is she still in real estate?
She is at Simenon. She's, she's starting to sunset a little bit. She's been in that 21 or 22 years.
Okay.
But she is, yeah. Because we have grandkids now, so.
Well, tell me about the family. I know you got a big event coming up here in a couple months. Your daughter's
my oldest daughter's getting married. I have 2 daughters, and the oldest one's getting married. The young one's married and already has 2 grandkids for us. The older one gets married, as we talked about, moving day at Augusta, which is Saturday of Masters Week. Yeah, I laugh about it now, but I wasn't laughing about it so much initially, because I was like, that timing is not very good, but it's not about me. So
yeah.
Anyway, so that's going to be a big event. I'll be glad to kind of get that behind me, and but we're excited. I mean, Jordan, my future son-in-law, is a great boy. He's a great kid, but they are going to move. They live here now, but they're moving to Washington, D.C., which is kind of a bummer. My other daughter lives here, but this one always wants to be around the action, so her fiance is from the D.C. area. That's where he grew up.
Okay.
So he has ties to Washington, D.C., and my daughter's fine with that because of the Ravens and, all the other sporting events that are around. She's a big sporting girl, so she's excited about it. As a dad, you're not as excited about it, but it's okay. You can't do anything about it. Just let them go. They're going to be wherever they want to be. You just got to support them wherever they are, and it's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, the wedding's a big deal. I'll be kind of glad when that comes and goes.
So you'll have married off both your girls.
Of them. Yes.
How old are your girls?
30 and 28.
Okay.
And so my other one will be, the oldest one will be 31 in June.
Gosh, it's hard to believe.
I know, man.
They are 28 and 30. I can remember when they were in school, and you'd see them leaving the neighborhood and stuff with, gosh, that's crazy. Well, how's your golf game?
It's okay. It's okay. I keep saying every year, it's like everybody else does, I'm going to play more next year. I'm going to play more next year. And doggone it if I don't play more next year. I mean, at least with the Golffice, I've been able to go over there, for maybe a half an hour, hit some wedges or hit some drives and just kind of, stay loose. And so that I'm sure will help. I was at Top Golf too for the winter, so you can get some swings in during the winter and you don't get so rusty when, March and the weather starts breaking and you just go right back out. And as you get a little bit older, I also didn't want to tear a muscle or something like that, because I haven't done anything to, stay in very good shape.
That's why you got to play speed golf, JP. You got to play speed golf so you can play year round.
Well, I guess the Golffice is not going to be good for the cardio part of your speed golf, right? We don't encourage running either.
I was trying to figure out where we could put a treadmill.
Yeah, exactly. I figured that, because I was like, he's not going to be able to do much cardio in the Golffice. It's just a little too tight for him. Yeah. I wish we had a little more room to do a few more things there, but it gets the job done. It serves its purpose.
Yeah, no, it's well, I remember you always being a long ball. You still hitting a long ways?
I mean, I think I'm still, I can tell that I'm losing some distance, but that's why you got to keep up with technology. And, I change clubs a little more often now. And that's really, my brother's like, you need to, like, I would have a driver for 4 years or 5 years, man. You don't want to really do that anymore, man.
No,
every 2 or 3, it's very expensive, but every couple of years you want to be.
I'll tell you a story real quick. So last year I had the opportunity to go. I don't know if have you seen that league on TV, the SoFi, where they do the
TGL?
The TGL.
Oh yeah,
have
sure.
You ever seen that?
Mm-hmm.
So last year I had the opportunity to go and compete at the SoFi, and we were playing a speed golf event, at the SoFi. So basically what we would do is we would hit our shot into the sim, and then we would run a lap around the building and come back and hit another shot. And the reason I'm sharing this story is because you talk about technology, and it's like I'm in this, I'm hitting the sim, and it's just like these guys, everyone's 20, 30, 40 yards ahead of me. And I was still playing the original TaylorMade RBZ driver.
Oh boy.
The white one. I don't know how old that thing is, but it was old. It was
8
like
or 10 years, maybe.
Yeah, it was more than that.
Maybe more than that. Yeah.
I had started with it in 2014 playing speed golf. So I'd had it for at least 12 years. And so I called my buddies over at golf headquarters, and I'm like, hey, you guys do driver fittings? Like, Jason, every day, all day. That's what we do. And I'm like, okay, I need to come in for a driver fitting. So I went in for a driver fitting, and I picked up like 30 yards.
You'll be amazed.
Just changing drivers.
Yes.
And it was
and
like
the shaft.
Yeah, the shaft.
That's really
the
main part of the driver is the shaft.
Exactly. So I was able to pick up a little bit of distance, and then I started this off season for the first time lifting. I'm very, very disciplined in my lifting schedule now as far as my strength training. And, I'm starting to get it out there 270, 280 now instead of 250, 260, which is, so I'm curious to see how that's going to translate. Cause that's not always a great thing, at least in our sport. Cause like I said, I got really, really efficient at hitting it straight and the distance. I knew where I was going to go, so, and I didn't have to worry about it because it was about keeping it in play and whatnot. But it has been really, really cool just going back to the Golffice and all the technology that you have today. Like, man, I enjoy that so much more, going over there and getting reps in versus going over here to the driving range where, it's irons only. They have They have crap balls that are hard as a rock.
No,
I have no idea how far the ball's going. Like the tee boxes are hit or miss as far as whether or not you're hitting off of mats or dirt or grass or whatever it is. So it's been a real joy for me just to kind of figure out like how far am I hitting these clubs? And really, really dial in the distances. So that's
we have all that data on the screens at the Golffice. You can change that data, add data points, subtract data points.
Yeah, I was curious.
Very cool.
So, and I haven't done this yet. I've just gone on in, and whoever's name's on there, I just kind of click in and play. I haven't are you supposed to create a profile or something?
You don't have to.
You don't have to.
It's just that if people come in as a group, 2, 3, 4 guys, they want their name on the screen to know, who's hitting, who's next. So it's Jason, JP, whoever. So we'll put our name in there, but we reboot the computers like every Friday to kind of keep everything fresh. And a lot of times it clears out the names. I don't know if it clears them all out, but I think it clears out the majority of them, and it might clear out all of them. So people kind of have to do that every time. I mean, maybe that's something we'll fix down the road, or they'll fix down the road at corporate for us. But, it doesn't take very long to add a player, as you know. But yeah, I'll usually put my name in there and the next person's name in there and have my name up there just as you're playing. Then it says who's next, Jason's next, JP's next, whatever. But yeah, I don't pretend to be able to read all those data points. My brother can do it, because he's in the golf business. And I did want to mention one thing real quick. You were talking about you're on this, weightlifting schedule, and I actually stretch. At the stretch zone. I'm religious about going to the stretch zone, and I am.
I've heard great things about that.
I tell you, man, it's awesome. I can't believe it. I used to, when I got done playing, never bother. You could go play 36 holes the next day. You're fine. Let's go back and play more. You get a little bit older. You play 18 holes. You're like, doggone, man, I'm all tight. I get done. I can't hardly move.
Yeah.
And in May of last year, I saw it because it's right across the street, it's diagonal from the Golffice. It's right by Target. It's right there.
Yeah. And
so I decided one day I was going to drop in. They give you a free 30-minute stretch, and I was like, I'm going to try this out. I didn't know what to expect, and in a 30 minutes, I was like, wow, dang, they're stretching me like, oh man, you're not very flexible. I said, no, I'm not. That's why I'm here.
No,
I'm not at all.
No.
But then, I just started researching on the value of stretching.
Uh-huh.
And if you don't stretch, you could easily tear a muscle. And that's what I didn't want to have happen to me. The last thing that I don't do any sports anymore other than golf because I don't want to get hurt and not be able to play golf. Mentally, that would be terrible for me as well.
Okay.
And physically, obviously, you never want to get hurt. But I go there 3 times a week, probably 4 times a week. I do the unlimited thing. And even if I am out of town and miss a week or something like that, man, I feel it. I'm like, oh my gosh, man, I got to get back in there and get stretched again.
Out.
But they do a really good job. And I'm, very pleased with how I feel now and how I move, how I get done. I mean, I can just go up and start hitting balls like we used to when we were younger. You didn't stretch that much when you were younger. You just get a bag of balls, whether that's 50 or 100, and just start
I don't
hitting away.
I don't stretch after doing a 10-mile run. I mean, that's how bad I am.
Yeah.
So
well, I didn't either.
Yeah. It's just like,
I don't do I'm just not that disciplined. I won't, you just do it at home. No, I can't. You forget it. I'm not going to do it. It's like PT when they say, well, I can show you how to do the exercise. You do it. No, that's not going to work. You don't understand. I won't do it. I may do it the first day or 2.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to do it anymore. I mean, that's just, I know myself. I'm not going to do it. So, I just get on the schedule. I book it a week in advance or something. And then 3 or 4 times a week, sometimes 5 times a week, they're open like Monday to Saturday. I don't usually go on Saturdays, but I might be there 4 times or I might be there 5 times a week. If I got it open in my schedule and I can do it, I look up there. They have a St. Matthews location, the one by us in the Golffice on Fisher Park, and I just shoot over there and get stretch. It's awesome.
So they have like an unlimited monthly membership?
They do. Yeah, it's $400 unlimited, and that's what I do.
Yeah.
Because it's not inexpensive. I mean, it isn't. Even if you did, a 30-minute stretch or an hour stretch, I don't know what it is, but it's not cheap.
Yeah.
But the unlimited plan, and now that I've been doing Jason since May, there's really great value in it.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you feel good, I mean, if you feel better and you feel good and you're able to do the things that you enjoy and that you want to do. So that's, I mean, I'm all for investing in just health and wellness and feeling good. I mean, I go to the sauna and do sauna and infrared sauna and cryo almost daily.
Okay.
And I've started to.
Well, you still look like you're 24, so something must be working. Good grief.
So, and I've started to appreciate stretching. In fact, actually, one of our members here at Common Ground, I'll give a shout out to them, but they have Results by Design Fitness, which is really cool. It's like for the first time ever in my life, I've actually got a coach on the fitness side of things. And it's really nice. You show up at the gym, they tell you what to do and they keep your program up to date. And I mean, I've picked up 14 pounds of muscle since October. So in 4 months, and like I said, and I feel great, which is important because we're not getting any younger, right?
No.
So what would you say, and the last question, then we'll wrap up. So,
sure.
What would you say, like, looking ahead, whether it's life, whether it's business, what's one thing you're most looking forward to or most excited about that you're working on right now?
Growing the Golffice, probably. I like being an entrepreneur.
Okay.
And I don't know what's in store next, but there's always something else. I mean, people keep saying, JP, when are you going to retire? I don't know when I'm going to retire. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know when I'm going to leave the mortgage. I like doing the mortgage side.
Yeah.
I love the Golffice. I mean, I think whatever the next business idea that comes along that I like, I'm happy to jump into something like that too. I enjoy things like that. I enjoy growing businesses. I enjoy putting the work into making them, or, hopefully making them successful. I mean, I've had pretty good luck so far, which is a good thing.
What's it look like growing the Golffice? Is that more locations? Is that growing, the existing location?
Yeah. I mean, where we are, we still obviously have room to grow, but yes, I think expanding and having more Golffice locations, is probably something that's in the cards for us, so to speak. I think that's definitely something that we'll probably do, and, we probably are looking for a space now, we take our time. I take my time. I mean,
well, that's good.
You can get the research, our marketing studies done and stuff like that. But in the end, it's just, does it seem like it'll be a good fit in that area? But Louisville's a great community. I mean, I love it here, and it's a very supportive community. And so it's good sized city too. So, it is important that we have a lot of people here.
Yeah.
Because there's competition. I'm never afraid of competition. I don't mind. I'm glad there's other places. It just brings awareness.
Yeah, exactly.
To golf and indoor golf simulators. So I hope everybody does great. And there's plenty of business. I don't worry about competition to me.
Maybe from an entrepreneurial standpoint, because I'm a bit of an entrepreneur myself. One of the things I'd love to do at some point is have a speed golf simulator bay. So that would be that's not for everyone, but one of the newest projects that I'm working on is I'm now an equity partner in Speed Golf USA, which is really the governing body of speed golf in the United States.
Well, you're a legend.
And one of the things that one of the things that we're working on is, obviously growing the participation in the sport, but you can't really grow participation until you have greater course accessibility. I'm fortunate over here at Glen Oaks, where we live, to have course accessibility because I've been doing it for 12 years. And it took a while to kind of it took a few years to kind of get the course on board with what I was doing. But that's the number one question that we get is like, man, that looks really cool. Like, I don't have time for regular golf, but I'd love to try that. Where can I play? And it's like, well, where are you located? And it's just like, okay, it's just, there's a challenge. So one of the initiatives and one of the things I'm really excited about, I asked you the question about, what's something you're really excited about that you're working on, is like, I'm excited that I've teamed up with a couple of buddies, which is super cool because I love them, but teamed up with a couple buddies from the speed golf community. And we're really pushing the initiative of making the faster form of golf, speed golf, more available to people to play. And again, like, my definition of speed golf would look completely different than, someone that's just, 300 pounds and trying to lose a few pounds and get a few swings in, right? I mean, it's, if you can go out and walk 9 holes quickly in an hour, that's speed golf. Because traditionally it takes us 4 hours to play a round of golf.
If we're lucky.
Yeah.
Some places,
if we're lucky, right? And so that's another thing too, is there is a population out there of people that just don't play golf because it takes too daggone long. And, the reason I started playing speed golf back in 2014 was because I had young kids. I was like, there's no way I'm going to work all week and then go spend all weekend on the golf course and neglect my family, right? So speed golf was a really, really good fit for me. And so I was like, man, I want to work towards making, courses more accessible to people that want to try it. So that's one of the things that we're working on, at Speed Golf USA. And then, we have a nonprofit as well called Play Speed Golf, that, we're just driving awareness around the sport. But again, it's for the greater collective of the sport of golf and the game of golf. And it's just a little bit different form. But I'm telling you, the speed golf simulators are coming. So
yeah, you have the wheels in my mind turning. It's like, okay.
You're talking about all these, it would be, imagine 3 bays with treadmills and being able to like, because they say a treadmill doesn't take up that much room. You could put it right along the side there, and
it does
as long as you get the software and get it running. So that's something that I'd be down for. Maybe just creating some ideas, because honestly, this podcast studio, you can see it's in the garage. I don't know if you noticed that.
I wasn't paying attention. I am now. Yeah, I see the garage rails.
Yeah. So this was actually going to be my golf simulator. And then
it's plenty of room in
here. We were going to put a golf simulator in here, but then I was like, it might not be the best idea for a co-working space to have the golf sim in here. But anyways, so it's now a podcast studio.
We can go to the Golffice now and keep your podcast studio.
Yeah, we'll keep the podcast studio.
I like it how it's set up in here currently. It's pretty conducive to what you need to do. And
exactly. So we'll keep this, and we'll just keep wearing out the Golffice. But,
there you go.
But man, I really appreciate you spending some time with me, coming over. And, if you guys have not checked out the Golffice yet, check it out over in Springhurst. Fisher Park?
10515 Fisher Park Drive.
10515 Fisher Park Drive. And then, you know, obviously if you're looking to refinance, or if you're a new home purchase, JP and his team have been around for a long time. They've helped me before with my mortgage. They've done an awesome job for me, and certainly reach out to him. So appreciate you guys tuning in, and thanks, brother.
Thanks, Jason. Appreciate the time again, man. Thank you.